started recording, so whenever you're ready, yeah. Are you ready? Go ahead, I'll come back.
There's an interesting phenomenon in all of Sefer Bereshis. We find that Avram Avinu, he talks to everybody. Talks to Sarah, talks to Lot, talks to Avimelech, talks to Paro. Avram Avinu is constantly talking to people. That's what we find in Sefer Bereshis. Yeah, remarkably, if you look, you don't find Avram Avinu speaking to one person. Yitzchak. We don't never find Avram Avinu speaking to Yitzchak, except for two lines that he says to Yitzchak. Both of those lines are a decade on the way to Shechting him. So, obviously, the Torah is trying to teach us something because it's clear that Avram Avinu spoke to Yitzchak. He's spoken to him plenty. There are midrashim that they learned in yeshiva together, and I'm sure that Avram and Sarah were wonderful machanchim. And there could be no doubt that Avram Avinu spoke to Yitzchak. They spoke to him a lot. So, what is it that the Torah is trying to teach us here? The Torah is always trying to deliver a message. And I heard once a pshat from Yosef Pincus. He said the pshat is that the Torah is teaching us that the way you're mechanech is not through speech. You don't mechanech by giving instruction. You mechanech through demonstration. To get children to do things by telling them to do things and forcing them to do things, that's, you can get them to do things, that's not a problem. But that's control, that's not chinuch. It's not hard to control them. You're bigger, they're smaller, so you can control them. Chinuch means that a person leads by example. If a person shows his example, what he does, they once said from Rabbi Kamenetsky, how did you teach your children to say brachos? Rabbi said, we never taught our kids to say brachos. I made brachos, my wife made brachos. I mean, maybe the kids learned how to make brachos. We didn't teach our kids. We learned to act and say, okay, let's make a bracha. So the first lesson in chinuch is that a person has to lead by example. That's one of the reasons you see later on the Torah says in Pasuk Yud Tes, in Vayer Pasuk Tes, Pasuk Yud Tes, Ki yadativ lamana sheyitzave zbanav es beiso acharav. I know that he will be mitzaveh his sons and his household acharav after him. And the pshat, they say the pshat in acharav is that not v'laman yitzaveh, they'll tell them what to do. Acharav means to follow his example. Like in the Israeli army, when they go into the attack, they say acharai. The commander is famous, they're famous, the commander takes the troops and he says acharai. Acharav means, I'll show you the example. This is the example. And you follow the example, that is the example the parents show. That's the lead the kids are going to pick up on, and that's what the kids are going to do. So, there's a famous story about a bacher who goes out on his first shidduch. And he called up the shadchan, and he said to the shadchan, he's very interested in seeing the young lady again. Shadchan says to him, the young lady wasn't interested in seeing you. He says, why not? He had a very good time. The shadchan says, well, she said all night you kept saying to her, that's not important, my nafkamina, why are you making a big deal out of it? That's how you responded when she talked. She didn't feel very good or very important. And she had a miserable time. Is it true? Is that how you spoke to her? The bacher said, yeah. Very surprised look on his face. Yeah. She said to him, why? Why would you speak to them like that? So the bacher said, look, I've never spoken to a girl before, and I went to my Rebbe in Yeshiva, and I asked my Rebbe, how does one speak to a girl? The Rebbe said to me, it's not that difficult. Just talk to her the way your father talks to your mother. So I did. That's how kids learn how to behave. What the parents are in the home, and the parents lead, how the parents set an example, that's how the kids are going to learn too. So Avram Avinu shows you're mechanech by acharai, by acharov, following his actions. Memela, there's no need for the Torah to emphasize that he spoke to Yitzchak. Of course he spoke to Yitzchak, but that's not the ikar kid. If you take a look, the Torah says also in Vayer Perek Yutes Pasuk Daled, very very puzzling. The Torah says in the pasuk Yukach na me'at mayim v'rachatzu raglechem yishanu tachas ha'etz. The Torah says let some water be taken. And Rashi points out over here that Yukach na al yidei shliach. It was done through a shliach. Avram Avinu didn't do it by himself. And therefore, HaKadosh Baruch Hu shilein levonav al yidei shliach. HaKadosh Baruch Hu paid his children through a shliach. Shenemar v'yorem Moshe es yodo v'yaches asal. Now, Rashi obviously means over here, based on Chazal, Chazal are telling us that there's a tviyah of some sort on Avram Avinu. There's a taina on him. Why'd you do it through a shliach for? You should have done it through yourself. Mitzvah bo yoser b'bishluch. You should have done it through yourself, and then you did it through a shliach, and you made the Klal Yisrael's paid back through a shliach. But what's curious is because later on in Pasuk Zion, when it says the Torah says ve'el habokar rotza Avram ve'yigat ben bokar rachmato ve'yitein al hanahar ve'yimar la'asososo. And Rashi says el hanahar ze yishmo lechancho b'mitzvahs. So the whole point of doing this was with mitzvahs. Yet Chazal say anything he did through a shliach was done for Klal Yisrael through a shliach. So if it's lechancho b'mitzvahs, then obviously he's trying to do the right thing. So why is there a tviyah on Avram Avinu that you did it through a shliach and made the Klal Yisrael receives the water through a shliach, other things through a shliach, whatever you did through a shliach, Klal Yisrael get through a shliach. But what's kedei lechancho b'mitzvahs? The answer is that's not chinuch. That's not chinuch. Avram Avinu wants to be mechanech Yishmael. The way you're mechanech him in mitzvahs is you do it with alacrity, you do it with zrizus, and you do it with a smile, and your child sees how you did it. If that's how you do it, then the child learns from that. That's property. That's property. There's so many examples in life. There was a hockey goalie named Billy Smith. He's a guy, played for the New York Islanders. I think they won 4 championships in a row. And Billy Smith had a reputation for being the dirtiest player in the league. Anytime an opposing player would skate near him, the referee wasn't looking for Shteza, so Billy Smith would take the goalie stick, which is a nice thick piece of lumber, and he would slash the opposing player across the back of the leg, which is the only unprotected part of the body of a professional hockey player. So he would give him a good slash, and Mimela, he was extremely unpopular with everyone other than his own teammates. But one day, Billy Smith Jr. started playing Pee-wee hockey. So an interviewer came to Billy Smith Sr., the Tata, for Shtetzach. Little Billy is going to be a goalie, just like his Tati. So he said to Billy Smith, is your son going to slash the Pee-wees? And Billy Smith said to him, no. He said, how do you know? He said, because I told my son, don't do as I do as I say. I can guarantee you the Pee-wees were limping. Because children don't do as you say, children do as you do. And that's what the Torah is trying to teach. In the home, there's no shortage of examples in the home. Mothers are often the ones who have assumed the duty, what I call they are on benching patrol. Did you bench? Did you bench? Time did you bench? Yitzi, did you bench? Bench, bench. The kid says, well, Mommy, I didn't eat bread. That's okay, but you didn't bench. You have to bench, 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 bench. Okay. So mother want the kids to bench, admirably so. So mother benches. You ever watch a mother benching? So kid sees how the mother benches. Benching is when you run the house. And benching is when you signal people on your cell phone that you can't talk because you're benching, and you say bracha out loud. So then when she says, Chaim, did you bench? No. Why not? I don't have a cell phone. How could I bench? That's the example kids learn from. A person has to know that what they're doing in the home will leave the greatest impression. I heard about a kid came home from a day school. His father was what we would call very modern, orthodox, not a Ben Torah by any stretch of the imagination. The kid comes home and he tells his father, "We learned a halacha." Well, whatever the halacha was, until here, or whatever it was. So the father looked at the kid and said, "That's what your Rebbe said." And he picked up the phone, he called her and said, "Did you tell my son that halacha?" So he said, "Yes, I did. That's the halacha. That's what we learn the kids at Shulchan Aruch. That was the halacha I taught him." So the father says to Rebbe, "Thank you very much. That's what I wanted to know." He says to his son, "That's what the Rebbe said, and therefore that's what we're going to do." A child hears that from his father, sees what his father just did. The child understands. You have to have respect for what the Rebbe did. That child today is a very big Talmid Chacham. I know in person. He's a very big Talmid Chacham. Because he saw the example his father said, what Kavod Torah is, what Kavod of a Rav is. So maybe he's got Kavod Torah, he's got Kavod Rav, because he lived it, he saw it in his father's actions. There's another man who came to ask a Rav a Shaila. What was the Shaila? The man said, look, he goes to an early morning Daf Yomi Shir. Gets up early, goes to the daf yomi shir, his head is clear, learns the daf, he absorbs a lot, he retains a lot. And he comes home, but by the time he gets home, his kids are still asleep because he goes very early, comes home, because they haven't even woken up to go to school yet. So the kids know that Tati goes to a daf yomi shir, but they don't see him going out to learn. In the evening he goes to go to a daf yomi shir. But in the evening, the advantage is the kids see him going out of the house carrying a big Gemara under his arm. On the other hand, he's tired after a long day. He works, goes to daf yomi shir. He falls asleep. And so on the one hand, there's the benefit of his kids seeing how much he's mafshiv Torah and how much the mother's mafshiv Torah by urging him and encouraging him to go to the daf yomi shir. On the other hand, he doesn't have the benefit of learning the daf, so he has to roll which one should I attempt. So first, the Rav said to him, look, I don't hear a stira over here. Go into the morning one and learn the daf well, and then go to the evening one, and Torah Hashem Tanima Meshivas Nafesh. Have a nice snooze at the evening one and come home refreshed, and everybody see how much Torah is affecting you. And you have the best of both worlds. Well, let's say he couldn't go to both. Let's say for whatever reason he's only got that hour a day and he's got to come either in the morning or in the evening. Then what should you do? The answer is I don't know. But the fact that he asks the question shows that he understands the chashivus of chinuch. The fact that he's asking such a shaila, it's a shaila. What would a Rav Posek paskin? I don't know. But the fact that he asks such a shaila, that shows that he understands the chashivus of chinuch. Sometimes you have mothers, the kid says a bad word. And when the kid says a bad word, the mother gets all, terrible word, where'd you learn that? And sometimes a mother will resort to very drastic tactics. She will take ivory soap and she'll wash the kid's mouth out with soap. So, you know what a kid learns from that? A kid does not learn not to say bad words. A kid learns, don't say bad words around an adult who has soap. That's what the kid learns. Much the same as a father telling his son not to talk during davening, yet he turns and continues talking with his chaver over there. So what did the kid learn? Not to talk to davening. The kid learned that when you're a father, you get to talk, but you get to tell your kid not to talk. And he's going to do the exact same thing when he's a father. A mother wants to be mechanech her children, not to say, first of all, mothers don't have to get all bent out of shape. If the kid says a bad word, they don't even know what the word means. And you can just say to them, listen, I can't stop you from talking, but just realize a mensch doesn't use words like that. Or, more severely, I don't want to hear you ever say a word like that again. But to resort to drastic measures like washing your mouth out with soap, if a mother really wants to convey a lesson, then she's got a much better opportunity. I would like to see that same mother, Erev Shabbos, got a house full of guests are coming. She's running around doing 17 different things. And at the last minute, the kugel, she smells that last kugel or cake which is in the oven, and she gets a burning smell. There's a burning smell. So the mother walks over, and the mother goes over to the oven. She opens it up, and sure enough, it's burning. I would love to hear what that mother says at that moment. So if the mother just starts saying, "Gam zu l'tova," yeah, fine. So again, you can wash anybody's mouth out with soap that you want. But more likely, the mother gives a little foot stomp, and she may say something inappropriate. You know what she ought to do then? She ought to go over to her kids and say, "Hey guys, come here. I just said something inappropriate, and therefore I'm going to wash my mouth with soap." That will make an impression on the kids. Then the kids are going to walk around for 2 weeks talking about, "Mommy said a bad word, Mommy wash your mouth out with soap." And they're never going to forget it. That's impressive, because that shows the mother really cares. They doesn't care about their mouth, she cares about mouths. And it starts with her mouth. That's the way. A mother who absolutely must resort to soap, let her use it in her own mouth. Just, Lori Priya soap, down the hatch. That's what a mother should do. Obviously, the area more than any other that we want kids to develop in is obviously when it comes to Torah learning. And the only way we're going to instill in our children the value of Talmud Torah, the only way we could possibly succeed at that, is if we show ourselves that we're machshiv Torah. Now this is manifested in many different ways. First of all, there was a kid who was asked to draw pictures of all of his family members. So he draws a picture of his mother in an apron in the kitchen. He draws a picture of his sister running. He draws a picture of his brother chasing his sister. He draws a picture of another brother. And then he draws a picture of his father. The picture of his father is the father sitting at a table with a big Gemara open in front of him. It's nighttime. There are stars out. He draws pictures of the stars in the dark window, which is darkened in order to show that it's night. There's a clock on the wall, and the clock is set at midnight. So the kid has his picture of his father. His father is sitting and learning at midnight. That's how one instills the value of Torah in children. The value of Torah in children is not by the father forces the kid to sit down and learn. The kid's upset, he doesn't know the material well from Cheder, and he cries, the father's getting impatient. That's not how you instill Avas Torah in a child. You instill Avas Torah in a child where the father sits and learns. A vadik should learn with his son, and it should always be pleasant. And it should not be big chunks of time so the kid doesn't get ants in his beans. But the ikr way that he sees the father himself is the Mashif of Torah. The father's learning Torah. He's not sitting around wasting time. He's not sitting around wasting time reading, watching things on the internet, whatever. The father's sitting and learning. The father's sitting and learning. Then the kid sees this. The family sits and learns. They sit at the Shabbos table. Father discusses everything from a Torah perspective. Not that he gives a clock and says, okay, Dvar Torah time, let's invite our guest called Dvar Torah, let's get him out of here real quick. And then the mother gets up and she finds an excuse to go to the kitchen and wash dishes. That's not, it's not like he's going to understand how he'll have heard of Dvar Torah at the table. Wonderful. Better than it should be than it shouldn't be. But that's not being instilling Torah as a value. Instilling Torah as a value is that every conversation involves Torah. Every conversation involves a chazal, that something is brought in, that something that comes from a Torah perspective. Not that the kids forced to talk Aramaic in the home, and the Shabbos table becomes a heavy Shabbos table. Families should sit, and they should reminisce, and they should joke and laugh, and have a lot of good food, and a lot of candy, and a lot of snacks for the kids. It should be a warm Shabbos table. But it should be a feeling of a Torah-dik Shabbos table. That's how one instills the value of Torah in a child. There was a kid came home from Cheder, and the kid was about 9 years old. Comes home from Cheder, and he says to his mother, "Mommy, we just finished the Masechta Mishnayos in Cheder." So the mother says, "Really? You finished an entire Masechta? That's unbelievable." She goes into her room, she puts on her sheitel, she comes out, she sets the table, she puts out cake, drinks, says, as soon as Daddy comes home, we're going to make a seal. That is a concrete demonstration of the mother valuing Torah, the mother's avas Torah. A child then senses, this is what's really important to my parents. If a child ever hears a mother, and it's unfortunate, but people sometimes say, the husband goes out to learn. Then he comes home and the wife says to him, listen, I let you learn for an hour and a half, now I need help in the house. You understand the message the child just heard? You let him learn. You did him a favor and you let him learn. It's a mistake. The mother should say, I appreciate the ruchnius you bring in the house. I know that Torah learning is not easy. I appreciate how difficult it is that you're willing to do it even when you're tired. That's how a mother should demonstrate her appreciation of Torah. That's the message the child is going to receive. If a father comes home and he starts putting down the Rov's speech in shul, or he comes home and says, Adam, I get don't know how to give a shir. So the kid here says, zilzul in Tabir Nachamim. A zilzul in Torah. If he sees his father is never learning, his father reads the newspaper till the very last second before he's got to get out to the shir. He's got to go, Baal Korcha, Mamish, they're pulling him with cords to get to the shir. So he gets his father doesn't really care. The Yitzhak. That's the attitude that the child is going to absorb when it comes to Havas Torah. Because a couple went to see a Rav and to get Eitzah on a certain issue they were having with one of their children. So they went in to see this Rav, and the Rav says, they asked them whatever it was, they asked them about their child, and the Rav gave them an Eitzah. And after the Eitzah, the wife, it was a very good Eitzah, they're very pleased. The wife says, could I ask you a question? The Rav smiles, says, yeah. She looks around the living room, they're sitting in the living room. She looks around the living room and she says, everywhere I look, I see svarim here. There's svarim on the shelves, there's svarim on the tables, there's svarim stacked up. I mean, the whole place is covered with svarim. I mean, is your wife okay with that? So the Rav looks and says, "Oh, why don't you ask my wife?" So he calls in the wife. Wife comes in. She says, "Rebbe, I'm sorry. Please forgive me for asking this. I'm just wondering. Everywhere I look, there are svarim. Are you? How could you?" Rebbe says, "Look, this is the living room, isn't it? The living room is for living. We say about Torah, Kiyem Chayim. Torah is our life. That's all we do is we live it. So if a mother comes home from Cheder, mother says, 'Mommy, we're making a siyum on Mishnah,' and the mother says, 'Well, that's great. Just don't leave your svarim on the table.' So what did the kid hear? Her table is more important than his svarim. Shouldn't leave svarim on the table. So what's the table for? I don't say, obviously, is there a hair, svarim should be put away. It shouldn't be messy. But the child hears that this is what we're all about. We're about svarim. We're about a Shabbos table where somebody can get up and bring a chumash to the table or bring a gemara to the table without anybody getting, no, put it away, we're eating. You're eating? You're not eating. You're living. Part of living is eating, part of living is learning, a big part of living. And therefore, that's the attitude the child has to feel in the home. The child feels that in the home, and the child absorbs Torah as a value. That's what we're trying to instill in our children. There was another man who had a son who apparently finished Shas at a very early age. He went through Shas. By the time he was about 14, 15 years old, he made a siyum on Shas. So somebody came over to the father and said to the father, how did you do it? How did you succeed to get your son to be such a master? He said, look, it wasn't me, it was my wife. I said, well, what did your wife do? He says, when we noticed early on that my son had hasmada tendencies. And what we did was we encouraged him to learn. And he would learn late. And he would stay later than the regular yeshiva program, and he would learn. Every night when he came home, no matter how tired my wife was, no matter what she had done that day, and she has plenty on her plate, every night when he came home, she would be waiting up with him with freshly baked cookies and some drink on the table to show him she appreciates the fact that he's out learning. That's what encouraged him. That's how he became the master that he is. So, in summary, the first lesson is that, number one, we lead by example. And of all areas that we want to lead by example, Talmud Torah is the most important. To the degree that we're Makshiv Torah, the degree we show we have a love for Torah, is the degree that we will instill in Torah. I think there's a very, very powerful story that I once heard about the Meshech Chochmah, Meir Simcha Zatzal. He was learning with the Chavrusa of his, and they got stuck on a piece of Gemara. Imagine a piece of Gemara, if the Meshech Chochmah gets stuck. And they didn't know what to do. They were trying to work out shop. They decided they'll get up and daven. That's some siyata d'shmaya. So the two go and stand in the corner, each one davens throughout 10 minutes. They sit down and learn Gemara. And immediately the Meshech Chochmah gets the pshat. So Chavrusa says to him, why did you get the pshat? Why didn't you get the pshat? Why didn't I get the pshat? The Meshech Chochmah said, did you daven? He says, yeah, of course I daven. He says, what did you daven for? I daven that I should understand the Hari and Inabasura.